Welcome. My name is Rick Lewis. I do a morning show on 103.5 The Fox, and you may have heard me and Matt together on the Broncos pregame show on Sundays. I kind of carry him on that show, and I've schooled him for the last couple of years. Make sure he doesn't say anything stupid, which is a pretty tough job. This is, I think, the third year I've been here doing this with you, and this is a great thing that Matt puts on every year. And first of all, I think we should all give a hand to every one of you that made the All-Colorado team. Very cool. What a great accomplishment. We all know how much work that went into that, and all the parents here too. It's great to see the parents here tonight. And as a parent myself, we know how much work it is for parents. So let's give mom and dad a hand too for helping out. Driving you around for the last several years to practice and all that, and now you made the All-Colorado team, and many of you will go on to play college football as well. And speaking of college football, we're going to bring up our first guest speaker here this evening. He's the head coach of the CU Buffaloes. Are you ready to go, Coach?
Yes.
How about it for Coach MacIntyre right here?
It's an honor to be here tonight. It's an honor to be here in a room full of Colorado athletes. And I'd like to thank Matt for doing this for the state of Colorado. There's so many great football players in this state, and it's great to be recognized and be seen, and what that means to our state is incredible. And I've seen a lot of guys in this room play, seen a lot of different things, and I just want to talk to y'all for a few minutes, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what it means to be successful and how you get there, okay? It's not perception. It's not what other people say about you, okay? It's what you believe in your own heart. It's what you believe that you want to achieve. And it all starts with attitude, okay? I remember when I was a little kid, my dad was a college football coach, and so I've been in football. I've gone to games since 9 months before I was born. And so it's been 49 years of football, and it's helped shape my life in so many ways. And he used to always say at the dinner table, and I never really figured it out until I got a little bit older. He said, attitude determines altitude. Attitude determines altitude. And the thing about life is you are in control of your attitude. Period. If somebody says something good about you, does that make you work harder? If somebody says something bad about you, does that make you work harder? Okay? There's different forms of motivation, but the best motivation is from inside. The very best motivation is from inside. There's a thing about how to be successful and how to be able to achieve your dreams and goals. Okay? I was a high school football player. I always wanted to be a college football player. And I was 5'10". I weigh what I weigh now. I weighed 162 pounds in high school. And I dreamed of being a college football player. So I worked and I worked and I worked. I didn't let anybody tell me no. And I was able to play at Georgia Tech. And we had a lot of great players on our football team, and it was exciting. But I was always the one that had to keep proving myself over and over and over. And I would be first team 1 week, 3 weeks later, a guy would come back off injury. Yes, I was at second team. And then I had to prove myself again and prove myself again. And the thing that it taught me during that time, because it wasn't always the funnest thing to go back and forth, was it taught me to keep pushing, keep striving, keep fighting. And that helped me grow in my own character and in my own stature to keep pushing and working. I'll tell you a real quick story, and I'll end on that because y'all want to get your awards. A lot of the guys in here won't remember this. A lot of the parents will. I don't know if you remember the Olympics of 1992. It's something that I look at and think about often. There was a young man named Derek Redmond, okay, and he was running the 400 meters. And Parents, I'm telling you this because this pertains to you more than it does the young man that you have here with you. The hours of you driving them back and forth to workouts, the hours of you sitting out in front of the gym or the football field waiting on them to come in, and they're hanging out and goofing off in the locker room and you got something you got to get to, the hours and times you've washed their clothes, you've gone and got them cleats. I mean, you don't raise your hand. How many times has your kid gone and, oh, Mom, I thought I packed everything, but I forgot it. And you got to run and get them before they get to the game. And you're like, I've got a million things to do, and you got 2 other kids to take other places. Okay? All of that effort, all of that love, all of that care is going to make a difference. It's going to make a difference. Even sometimes when you scratch your head and you go, I don't think he's figured it out yet, just keep doing it. Keep doing it. Keep loving them. Keep pushing them. Keep helping them. Keep holding them up. And keep going. My mom, I had to put her in a nursing home a year ago. She has Alzheimer's now. And it's not fun. But I wish I had the old days of what we called Miss Betty, is what we called her. She was hard. She'd walk out and say, don't you come home unless you scored 20 points. And she would always tell me, all the time, and I wish she would still be there to tell me, she goes, every time I'd walk out that door to a game, or I'd call her in college, or she'd come watch a game that I coached, I would always call her before I went out of the locker room. And I can't call her anymore, because she doesn't know it's me. She does for a minute, but she'll forget. So she would always tell me, this is the biggest game of your life. This is the biggest game of your life, because it's the only one you're guaranteed right now. And so I attack everything in life that way. So moms, you're huge. Dads, you're huge too, but moms, you're even bigger, I think, at times. And so, I'll talk to the dads here. Derek Redmond, real quick. 1992, he's running the Olympics. You imagine all the work you got to do to get to the Olympics. All the hours, all the time. And he's going to run a 400 meters, and so he's going to run it in, 40-something seconds. And this whole world he's worked for, all his life is there. So he starts off, boom, the gun goes off. And if you can imagine the parents sitting in the stands, and as your son gets in the blocks at the Olympics, you're thinking, all the sacrifice, all the money I've spent, all the effort, all the time, it's finally arrived. If you could imagine the joy in your heart, in your mind, and the excitement, and that young man getting in the blocks, and the gun goes off and he starts running, and he's doing well, he's doing really well, and he gets it about 200 meters out from the finish line, and boom, it's like he got shot. I'll never forget it. I've never seen it like yesterday. And he pulls his hamstring, and Derek Redmond falls to the track. Everybody keeps running. He sits there, he rolls over, and what's he do? He doesn't just lay there. Derek Redmond gets up, and he starts hobbling. And you can still pull it up on the internet when you go home tonight. He hobbles, and he keeps going. And he's going to finish the race. There's no reason for him to finish. And as you watch it, the stands start rising up. There's 90,000 people in the stands. And Derek Redmond's running. And all of a sudden you see a man run out of the stands, and the policemen are trying to grab him. He knocks him off, and he goes up, and it's his dad. And right then and then, Derek Redmond breaks down. He starts bawling. He grabs his dad, and his dad goes, we're going to finish. So they run about 50 more yards, and another policeman, or not a policeman, another guard comes up that goes, you need to do it. He goes, get away. And they finish the race together. At the end of that race, there's 100,000 people standing and applauding. I don't know who won the 1992 400-meter Olympics, but I know who Derek Redmond is, and I know what it means to finish. Yeah, he didn't win that day, but he won much more. So, parents, keep doing what you're doing. Young men, don't let anybody ever tell you no. And remember, your attitude determines your altitude. Now, whatever anybody tells you, positive or negatively, you just keep believing in your own heart, and you'll reach your dreams. And if you don't reach all your dreams, you're going to get really close. And you will grow as a man, and you'll reach a lot of things you never thought you could reach. All right? Thanks, Matt. I appreciate it. Y'all have a great night.
I am Matt McChesney. Welcome to SixZero Strength and Fitness. We call this place a dungeon. Look around, you'll probably figure out why. I wanted to start this evening with a powerful message, and hopefully you got something out of that. It's not every day you get to listen to the head coach of the University of Colorado come down here to this banquet. Now, there are other All-Colorado teams out there. This is the 3rd annual SixZero Strength All-Colorado squad. We put a ton of pride into picking this team because of the hours of tape that we watch, all the scouting, all the streaming sports stuff that we do throughout the seasons, and then we also ask the player. Everybody in here that we work with, guys around the community, I'm always asking who can play, who's the baller on the field. And that's how I know that the guys in this room are legit. Now, we miss on somebody every year. You're not going to get it right all the time, but we like to pride ourselves on getting it right more times than not. So, this is the 2014 SixZero Strength and Fitness All-Colorado squad, and we are going to start with the Coach of the Year, coincidentally. Mike MacIntyre is up here giving you a little bit of a message this evening, so Warren McCarty is going to step up here, my right-hand man here at SixZero Strength and Fitness, and present the first award, that is Coach of the Year.
Again, want to thank Coach MacIntyre for his message. When we talk about coaching and the impact that college coaches have, that NFL coaches have on young men and grown men's lives, we always get pulled back to what happens in high school, good or bad. Not everybody has a great experience when it comes to who their high school head coach is. That's just reality. It's humans dealing with humans, right? But when you have a special relationship with your high school coaches, specifically your head coach, the impact it can have on a young man's life down the road, 2 years, 4 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, is dramatic. We decided this year not to base it on, the coaches hoisting the trophy at, Mile High Stadium. We wanted to take a step back and look at who did the most with the least, who did the most by being a motivator, and who was an innovator. And our Coach of the Year, I think probably the biggest attribute I can say to him is that he and his staff checked their egos at the door, revamped what they did on offense, and put a ton of responsibility on a 17-year-old senior quarterback. That's hard for a coach to do. Hell, that'd be hard for me to do. Just coaching QBs, checking your ego at the door. Because he believed in his kids. One lineman, I think, over 200 pounds. And yet, as a 5A team, they went 9-2, made the playoffs, and every week just kept finding ways to win games. And every week, Matt and I are like, how in the hell are they winning games? And we go back and look at tape, and you start to see why. Because they coached, and the kids believed, and they fought, and they fought, and they fought. And as you can tell, as we see here in the dungeon, we treat football like a fight. If you think it's anything other than a fight, you're not going to have a very long career. These guys got their kids to fight and believe in something. So, our 2014 SixZero Strength All-Colorado Coach of the Year from Mountain Vista High School is Mr. Rick Cash.
Congratulations, Coach Cash. Great year at Mount Vista this year, more to come. Congratulations, sir. All right, come on up, Rick. Next thing we got on the board here is kickers and athletes. Warren's going to help with this as well. We only have one kicker punter, and just an exceptional player. They're all lined up here, the athletes and whatnot. Exceptional player. At Rocky Mountain High School, did amazing things up there as a kicker. You can't say enough good things about the young man, honestly. He will be attending the University of Colorado next year, so give it up for the Special Team Player of the Year, Mr. Alex Kenny from Rocky Mountain High School. This next group of guys is really the group where I don't know where they're going to play at the next level. They are just some freaks on the field, and we had to recognize them in some way. So Walt McCarty is going to introduce you to the 2014 All-Colorado group of athletes on the field.
Yes, ma'am. All right, this young man did so much on the field, and just like we kept seeing it on tape, like, God, did you see that? Let's look at that again, look at that again. From Overland High School, Kevin Prosser. This next young man was yet another guy that we just kept seeing flash on tape. And when I say flash on tape, that means a guy that, like I'm saying, we have to rewind it 3 or 4 times. Like, did you see that? That was ridiculous. Look at the pursuit angle. Look what he did. Look at that hit. From Grandview High School, this guy stood out over and over and over again as a rover, Kiefer Glaw. Got a common theme here. This next young man basically never left the field at Overland High School this year. He's on special teams, he's on offense, he's on defense. Again, flashing, making plays, making smart plays, and just his ability to always be around the football was impressive. Josh Wright. Our next recipient was a headhunter at times, a ball hawk at times, but most importantly did a good job of always being in the right place at the right time. Safety from Bear Creek, Oliver B.C. Johnson. Last but not least, this young man fought through, gosh, I don't get emotional, but he's a kid that Matt and I both love because of his toughness. We see guys come in here in the gym, just beat to hell, bruised up, black eyes, like it's half funny, we're like, dude, who whooped your ass? And then to find out, like, no, my helmet, I took 4 shots, we'll go back and watch tape, we're like, geez. This young man fought when he didn't have protection, then he motivated guys to protect him, he ran hard, he completed passes, he competed and competed and competed. Incredible performance this year. Quarterback / athlete from Douglas County High School, rope rule.
Okay, we're off to a good start. We know that because Matt's breathing hard and sweating. That's always good. That's what happens when they bring out the barbecue at Brothers Barbecue when we do our Bronco show.
You're lucky there's only one mic.
And we're going to introduce now the offensive linemen, and I know you hold all of these big linemen very near and dear to your heart. So let's let you introduce the All-Colorado offensive lineman team.
Now, obviously, this is one of my favorite parts of the evening for the last 3 years, honoring all the uglies, the guys that don't get the recognition in the papers and on TV and whatnot. But if you don't have them in front of you, whether you're a linebacker, a quarterback, a running back, it makes life pretty difficult to play football consistently at a high level. The big guys in this state, this was by far the hardest group to trim down, and we still have a ton of guys on the team. I'm not a real big believer in, we've only got 4 slots, so there's only 4 kids. I'm a huge believer in, if we have to put 100 guys on the team, we'll put 100 on the team, because that's how many deserve to be there. So that's why we try and do things differently here with this All-Colorado team every year. And we're very, very pleased to have an exceptional group of big guys this year. And we're going to start off right now with one of the just mainstays of the Highlands Ranch football program. And I know he loved having Coach Robinson from Lakewood take that program over this year so he could really just be a monster at the point of attack. Center from Highlands Ranch, Alex Keys. This next guy is from Cherokee Trail high school. Sorry, I don't want to combine those two. That could be bad news. And he doesn't even know that he doesn't know. All right, he's just a big manimal. Put him in the right direction and watch him dominate. A guy that I've been working with for about 2 years, and I'm very, very pleased with this progression. He's going to do big things next year as a senior as well. From Cherokee Trail, offensive tackle, Ashton Torres. That's a Cosby sweater, Torres. You gotta be burning up in that boy. That's a Cosby sweater. This next guy here is from the two-time defending state champion, Pine Creek Eagles. And last year, he was a damn good tight end in this state. I bet you can still play at a high level. And the ultimate sacrifice is, as a player, this happened to me in my NFL career, is when the higher-ups come to you and say, we need you to play a position that you may not want to play. And he went from catching the ball to blocking for one of the best quarterbacks in the state. Going to be playing football at the Air Force Academy next year. A man that I would take into an alley with me anytime to have a fist fight, Parker Hammond. Take your time. Good job, Parker. Good job, man. This next guy opened up some big holes for one of the top backs in the year in the state of Colorado this year, Marcus McElroy. And Big A's a special dude. And he is truly a house. He gets his hands on you, and it's good night, sweetheart. There's no doubt about that. Give it up for the house, Big Adam Shack. Big sexy. Now, this next cat, as a sophomore, going into his junior season next year, keep that in mind, maybe the nastiest player in the state, and he's got some dirty in him. And most people would say that's a bad thing, we don't like dirty football. That ain't me, all right? If you're going to play football, you got to go out there like a man. If you don't want to get dominated, don't let it. That's pretty much the baseline. And for the next 2 years, he's going to be beating up some defensive linemen to continue. Already offered as a sophomore, the Mauler, Jake Moretti. Job ready? Hurt my hand, man, the mold. This next guy is a guy from Rock Canyon High School who did everything his coaches asked him to do this year. He played guard, he played right tackle, he played left tackle, he played nose tackle, and he doesn't care about all the glitz and glamour. He's a worker, he's a grinder, and only a junior from Rock Canyon High School, Dalton Morris. Next young man from Rocky Mountain High School. When he walked in today, I was like, damn, you got some size on you, my friend. He's going to make the Rams proud for the next 5 years, and I butcher his name every single time, so I'm going to let Warren McCarty say it.
Salafi Nawa.
I don't want you to beat me up, so I like the shirt, man. I like it. Next up on this list, a kid from Chaparral High School who was just the anchor of that football team. And although the team struggled at times throughout the year, you always knew what you were going to get out of their left tackle. And he'd bring his lunch pail every day in here to work. He brings his lunch pail on the field every time they suit up. A kid who I think is going to have a great college career in front of him, offensive tackle Brandon Leahy. All right, this next guy here, when Cherry Creek won the 5A state title, we all know that. They've got great skill athletes, we all know that. But in the middle of the year, when they moved this guy to the center position, they solidified. And they They were in a position where, they lost some games, and, they had a real bad loss to a Utah school, and they had to change things up. And they put Bull Parker, as we call him in here, because he's just one nasty SOB. They put him at center, and they took off on offense, and they didn't have any more problems on the offensive line the rest of the year. The man, the myth, the legend, Bull, James Parker, center taking. Last year, Valor's offensive line was 6'5", 300 across the board, and they were dominant, and they took it out on people on the field. And this year, there was a huge concern over there that they wouldn't be able to fill those holes. And this guy stepped in at left tackle and played very well the whole season. He's got a huge frame and a lot of room to grow as a player. Give it up for Dylan Ranklesmeyer, Valley Christian. Extra. Did I pronounce your name right? Yeah. All right. I'm getting better, man. This is a lot harder than it looks. All right, now, these next four guys are some pretty special players, and we'll start with the offensive guard, offensive tackle going to New Mexico State. Really set the tone for Bear Creek this year and was just a monster for them the last 2 years on the offensive line, Tony Bello. Big guys clean up nice. These next three guys that I'm going to talk about here are the three guys in the state that I think are the catalyst for offensive linemen. You can turn on the tape, and you're going to watch somebody get their ass whipped when they line up against these three. And we're going to start off with the left tackle of the Cherry Creek Bruins, who led his offensive line to a state title, and is just one of the biggest freaks of nature as an athlete that I've seen in this gym or on tape. Really does a great job for his team, and is going to be a hell of a player at the next level, Mr. Bryce Blair. Next guy is somebody that, if you're a defensive lineman, you had the privilege to play against him, you knew it. And you knew you were in a fight to the end, and somebody that when he gets his hands on you, it's good night, sweetheart. He's going to be doing big things for Coach Mike MacIntyre and the Colorado Buffaloes moving forward. I think that he's really has the potential to maybe one day be a Sunday player. And that's not something that you say a lot about a high school kid, but I can tell you the defensive linemen know in the room that Tim Lynott is not to be messed with. Tim Lynott, Regis High School. Good job, Tim. Good job, big man. Hurt my hand again, man. Some strong boys. Now, we're going to change this up a little bit as we're going to do the Player of the Year as the last guy, that receives his award for the evening. So, this next guy is it's pretty funny, actually. I was at Five Guys, like that ever happens. Yeah, so I was at Five Guys about 2 years ago, and I'm sitting there ordering my fries and whatnot. And a gentleman taps me on the shoulder and goes, "Hey, you're a pretty big dude. What'd you do?" We started talking, exchanged information, and I never knew that day would send Dylan Middlemiss into my gym. I didn't know that. Neil and I just sparked up conversation, and then all of a sudden, he was here. And since he walked in the door, he has turned himself into one hell of a player, one hell of a young man. And I'm really glad that he's going to be a Colorado Buffalo next year, playing for Coach Mike MacIntyre. You got Tim Lynott going up there. You got Frank Umu going up there. They got a good class of big dudes walking in Boulder. Dylan Middlemiss, offensive tackle Pomona, is also your offensive lineman of the year. Give it up. All black, huh? Trying to scare him. It's working. We got to do that, man. Slimming, you need slimming effects when you're a mouth-breathing, fat guy. Good job, Dylan. All right, next up on the list is going to be the receivers and tight ends, and Mr. Rick Lewis is going to be presenting that group here. So I'll pass it off to Rick and let Warren help him out on this one.
All right, nice job, Matt. 5 guys would have been nice if they catered. Would have been good for you in particular. And you can meet more offensive linemen that way.
I didn't even get any of the food tonight.
All right, wide receivers and tight ends. We'll start with that group. This first recipient is from Grandview High School. I think we did one of their games earlier in the year. Yeah, and we noticed him a lot on the field. You want to say something about him?
Great hands. I just love guys that have hands, like drop balls, kill drives, and that drives me nuts. Sick hands, Morgan Smith.
Morgan Smith from Grandview. Next up, this young man just played in what some people are calling one of the greatest games that anybody's ever seen, the state championship game between Cherry Creek and Valor. The tight end from Valor, and once again, another guy that we noticed a lot when we did the Valor Pomona game earlier in the year, Sebastian Sock. Come on up here, Sebastian. Congratulations.
He's got basketball tonight, possibly. All right, this young man, I got a chance to work out with this spring and summer. Again, as Matt mentioned earlier, we didn't want to just like go to Max Preps and search and see who like had the top 5 receiving yardage. We wanted to actually look at dudes on film. And this next young man is going to be playing on Saturdays here in a couple of years. He's young. He's one of the fastest white boys I've ever seen. This 100-meter is ridiculous. Great route runner, tough. And it was good for us to be able to honor a young man from a 1A program who's already produced a couple of Division I players. So from Wiggins, America, I'll give it up for a young buck, Austin Dennis. This next young man, again, I got a chance to meet him this summer, had a chance to work out, and he's got like the 5 o'clock shadow, and I felt like I needed to call him sir, because I'm like looking up at this dude, and I think he could take me if he wanted to. He went out on the field for Mountain Vista this year and made play after play after play. And they weren't all, 70-yard touchdown catches, but it was 3rd and 11, and he runs a 12-yard out. Catches a 5-yard hitch, breaks 3 tackles to get a first down. Over and over and over again. Second half of the season, we see corner manned up, safety over the top, a linebacker cheating, still catching hitches, running over dudes. Then they back off, get him some space, and he continues to make plays. This young man's got a bright future in football, and he really cleans up well. Brendan Ike, Mountain Vista. I'm not sure if this young man made it here tonight, but I checked in with some of the Aurora coaches, went back and looked at film. This kid kept standing out to me, so I start texting some of the Aurora head coaches. They're like, oh man, no-brainer, best dude we faced all year. From Stanley Lake High School, Connor Durant. I don't know that he's here tonight, but I'll give it up to Connor. This next young man, I saw in a game against Legacy, and just the numbers were ridiculous. He and his buddy, Colorado's version of Johnny Football, hooked up over and over and over again. He might be mad about what I said about Austin Dennis being the fastest white kid here, but I want to give it up for Fairview receiver Tim Ryan. Good job, Tim. Congrats. All right. I think he's playing basketball tonight. He's 6'5", made play after play after play for Parker Lutheran, and is going to play college football. Josh Clausen.
All right, and finally, wide receiver of the year. We'll present to a young man that's already committed to the University of Wyoming. If you watched that state championship game that I mentioned earlier, He made at least 3 huge plays in that game against Valor, 2 reverses that went for 60 yards and a crucial 52-yard catch to set up a game-tying touchdown. Made defensive backs look silly all year long. He's our wide receiver of the year on the All-Colorado team from Cherry Creek, Joe Parker.
All right, give it up for the wide receivers and the tight ends. Receivers, 2014 Next up, we're going to be talking about the Pretty Boys quarterbacks are next, and this is a pretty deep group again. A lot of young talent in the state mixed with a couple of veterans, so we'll give it up to our resident quarterback, Warren McCarty, to get through the quarterbacks, and we're on to our running backs, and then Mr. Chad Brown is going to get up here and talk to you young bucks.
This first young man, I believe they're playing basketball tonight. You guys knew his father was a wonderful player for the Denver Broncos and at Stanford. He's got an older brother doing great things at Duke, another older brother that started as a freshman this year at Stanford. A lot of people doubted this guy as a sophomore, whether or not he could take over from 2 previous really excellent quarterbacks at Valor. But he showed his worth this year. Dylan McCaffrey from Valor. This next young man has just put in hours and hours and hours of work, has a tremendous arm. I think we're going to watch him on Sundays if things continue to go well for him. He can dunk a basketball, he could line up and play safety if he wanted to, but the biggest thing that impressed me this year was his leadership, especially when his team faced some adversity early in the season. And his fourth quarter comeback drive against Horizon after a lightning storm was something for the ages. Quarterback committed to Colorado State. We'll see how things go. Matt Lynch, Legacy High School. This next young man, again, is playing basketball tonight. He's going to be a 2-sport athlete at Wyoming. He's going to play football and basketball. Did a wonderful job as a leader at Overland High School this year, quarterback Austin Conway. Yet another basketballer. This kid is 6'5", 190 pounds, and has started every game at quarterback since he was in the 9th grade on varsity. They won 1 game in their first 2 years. This year he led his team to a 7-4 record, broke every school passing record, and now has a bunch of Division I attention from Berthoud High School, Cody Bresch. And one more basketballer. We kind of say that tongue-in-cheek, but Matt and I were looking at film. We call this kid Johnny Football. He ran around and ran around and ran around and made play after play after play, threw for almost 4,000 yards, ran for almost another 1,000, and just wore a lot of dudes out. Did a great job this year from Fairview High School, quarterback Johnny Football. Last but not least, again, we didn't base our awards this year simply on stats. We looked at film, we looked at what kids produced, we looked at how they were leaders, and specifically how tough they were. This quarterback did something incredible. He went through 4 years of high school without being part of a loss as a starting quarterback. Not many guys can say that. Back-to-back state championships. He has an NFL arm right now. If they needed 8 yards, he'd run for 9. If they needed a 50-yard touchdown pass, he would get that done too. An incredible player, an incredible leader who had 5 turnovers in 14 games. Just unheard of numbers. I can't wait to watch this guy play on Saturdays and then on Sundays. Quarterback, state champion from Pine Creek High School, Tommy Lazaro. I should also mention that Tommy's our quarterback of the year.
All right, up next, before we get to Mr. Chad Brown, talking to you young guys out here, we're going to take care of the running backs and the fullbacks, and this is a real explosive group. You know, when college coaches come to recruit Colorado, they know that they're going to be able to find some big uglies, some offensive and defensive linemen, some linebackers, some tight ends, but it's rare to have the number of just skill athletes that we have these days in Colorado. And this group of running backs and fullbacks is deep with a lot of talent. The first guy up here on this list is the running back at Grandview, and he's just, I mean, he's an absolute animal on the field. Last year in the playoffs against Regis, he was all over them, hurdling guys, scoring touchdowns, and he was really the heartbeat for this Grandview football team the entire season. A guy that really, the D1 schools aren't beating his door down, and they've got a damn problem big time. Give it up for Chukwumal Benaya from Grandview High School. Job, CO. Good job, man. Next up, actually just received a scholarship offer from the University of Colorado yesterday or today, I can't really remember. Pretty cool. One of the spark plugs of Mullen's offense, really a guy when things get hard that they lean on big time, turn around, hand the ball to 28, and watch him do his work. At the next level, you know, Lord knows how much damage he can do considering he has time still left in high school to develop. Marcus McElroy, Mullen High School. Congratulations. This next dude here is, you know, last year as a junior, when I was watching tape on Ralston Valley, he was there and you could tell that he had talent, but you didn't know what he was going to become. And this year, I mean, everybody in this room that played Ralston or watched tape on him or went to a game, you knew that when Andrew Weingart touched the football that he had a chance to take it to the house every single time. So give it up, Ralston Valley, Andrew Weingart. Good job, Andrew. Or Dewey. I just realized they call you that. Good job, Dewey. All right, these next two are smash mouth players. And two guys that are, you know, they can carry their weight and they deliver a blow when they hit you. You know that you've been ran over, essentially. I haven't seen very many tacklers get off the ground in a very good mood. I know that he's primary ball carrier down there at Fort Carson, but just a perfect fullback at the D1 level, and hopefully he's getting the right looks. Give it up, Drew Harris. This next guy's from Denver South High School, and Coach Lindsay just raves about him. Every time I see Coach, he's always raving about Tasco. Tasco did this, Tasco did that, and it's deserving, because I'll tell you, you get in front of the tank and you're probably going to have some shreds running up your front side. Just one of the baddest men with football in his hands in the state of Colorado. Give it up for Javante Tank Tasco himself. Weird. Now this next guy is, I mean, he's Mr. Electricity in the state of Colorado. You can't turn on the TV or can't open up a magazine, you can't go anywhere without seeing another highlight or him running by somebody or returning a kick or taking a screen pass to the house. Arguably, the biggest weapon in the state of Colorado. He's taken home 2 awards this evening. Not only is he on the team as a running back, but he's also the Offensive Player of the Year and the Running Back of the Year. Give it up for Milo Hall. And Milo and Joe Parker have the exact same outfit on, so just thought I'd point that out. Hey man, teammates, twinsies. Looking good, looking good. All right, we're going to give this up now to Rick Lewis, my man, the master here, and he's going to introduce to you our next guest speaker. So, look, man, this banquet is a special time when everybody can get together. Before this started, we never had an event like this in the state of Colorado. So, yeah, you may play against each other, but this is a community. It's got to play at the University of Colorado, so I'll let Rick introduce him. But really, you know, take in the messages that you hear from these men that stand up here, because every one of them has something to say. So, if you're going to listen, this is the time.
Thank you, Matt. Yeah, as you mentioned, legendary Colorado Buffalo, who went on to play 15 years in the NFL. I know that because I'm reading it on his name tag right there. Multiple times he made the Pro Bowl. And this is a guy that I've known for quite a long time. We actually have the same agent, and we go back probably 20 years together. And he's a guy that I not only admire as an athlete and a football player, but also as a human being. He's one of the best people I know. Give it up for Chad Brown.
Thanks, Rick, for the kind and overstated introduction there. All right, so when Matt asked me to do this, I thought, well, what do you say to these guys? Well, considering I've walked down the same path you guys are walking, I thought, well, let me share some things that I learned later on that I would have loved to have known when I was where you guys are right now. So first off, congratulations. You guys got here due to a lot of hard work. But let's step back and not forget that you guys did not get here by yourselves. Rick opened this up talking about all the help that all you guys have gotten, whether it's moms or dads driving around a Pop Warner practice, mom washing those stinky socks and those nasty jocks. It took a lot of help for you to get here. Football is the ultimate in team games. So whether it's Milo Hall or an offensive lineman or a receiver or whoever else who's getting awards tonight, it took your teammates, your coaches, assistants, trainers, guys like Matt, who you guys go visit in the offseason to make all this happen. So while you're here and someone's shaking your hand and patting you on the back, don't let your head get too big. Realize that it's your hard work, but it took a lot of other people's hard work for you to get here. And for you guys who are going off to take the next step into college, while you're the big man now, next year you'll be the small guy on campus. And you're the guy with the gun this year. Well, next year in college, the rabbit's going to have a gun. So just humble yourself a little bit. Enjoy tonight, but humble yourself and realize it's not all about the name on the back of the jersey. It's about the name on the front, where you come from, and all those people who helped you to get to where you are. So be thankful. That was my first thought. All right. Secondly, understand and know that you guys are really living a dream. Matt's a former NFL player. Rick played in college. Warren played. I'm sure there's dads around here who played as well. My college teammate, Paul Rose, is back there. We played together back at the University of Colorado. And we would all, in a heartbeat, I feel very comfortable speaking for everybody, jump in your shoes, if we possibly could, to play the game again. Absolutely. Absolutely, without a doubt. So please understand how special this time of your life truly and really is. Because it doesn't come back. There's no old man games at the park. I looked, I checked. Highlands Ranch Rec Center sends out a little mailer every month. I keep on looking for an old man type of football game. There's none. Football is only played for a very short amount of time in our life. That's what makes the game so special. Michael Jordan, he can go to Highlands Ranch Rec Center and get a game tonight. 3-on-3, 5-on-5, full court, 1-on-1, he can do whatever he wants. Retired baseball player, they go with a stack of quarters, swing the bat. Hear the crack of the bat. Toss it. There's no place for us to go. The last time you take those pads off and you hang them up in your locker, that's it. You never, ever get to play again. So I'm not trying to bum you guys out. I'm trying to humble you with my last one. I'm not trying to bum you, but I'm trying to illustrate how special the game is. I was lucky enough to play till I was 38 years old. And I still miss it every single day. So embrace this time of your life. Even the practices, even the parts that may seem mundane and boring, it's not going to come back. That time with your teammates in the locker room, that camaraderie. I own a business. We don't get to do that at my business. There's no locker room jokes. There's no towels popping. When everybody leaves, they leave and they go all their separate ways. You guys are at a very special point in your life where you get to go to school, practice, win, celebrate with a special group of guys who know what it takes to play the game. So really, take some time and enjoy it. And whenever the opportunity comes up, and you may think, oh gosh, I'm not sure if I'm passionate about this, but I want to do this. Just know, 10 years from now, you'll be wishing you'd be back at practice, wishing that you could pull those pads back on one more time. All right, another thought that I wish I would have known when I was 17. Respect the game. Respect the game. This is a very special game. I just told you why it's so special. So at no point should you allow yourself to think you're better than the game, bigger than the game, bigger than those who are trying to coach you up and instruct you. And the best way to respect the game is go out there and play it and live the lessons of the game that the game teaches you. Hard work, discipline, toughness, and get back up. In football, we always get knocked down. We always do. And anybody who's been in this gym, would say, I'll say it as Matt would say it, get your ass back up. Get back up. So we can't play football forever. I was lucky enough to play until I was 38. But those lessons that I learned playing the game, they stick with me forever. I use them every day in my life. But the one I want you to walk away with here tonight is get back up, whether it's on the football field, whether it's in life. You didn't get here tonight by laying down. You got here tonight because you got back up. Somebody was bigger, somebody was faster, somebody was tougher, somebody knocked you down. Get your ass back up. Keep fighting. Keep fighting. Thank you.
And Chad and Matt were blessed to be able to play football in the National Football League, and most people don't get that opportunity. Some of you will get a chance to play in college, which is also a blessing, and take advantage of that. But as a parent myself now, I should point out that a lot of us, you get to college and it's just all about fun and the game. Might be a good idea to open a book every now and then too and do a little studying, because the percentages, the odds are stacked highly against you of ever having a career as a football player, ever cashing a check in the National Football League. It's very unusual, and for a guy like Chad to have played 15 years in the National Football League is pretty astounding. Great message from Chad. So take advantage. These are some of the best years of your life, and take advantage of those opportunities that are presented to you because of who you are and for the athlete that you are, and keep working hard. All right, we're going to move on here with the award ceremony.
And next up, we've got an award here. We'll try and get you guys out of here in a timely fashion. I know it's hot, but listen, if you're complaining about getting honored for football, then you're smug. So just appreciate everybody in the room and understand that this never happened before we started it. And if we were to shut down tomorrow, it wouldn't happen again. Everybody else that's doing all Colorado teams is, looking at something on the internet and picking a name and putting them up. So this next award that we're going to give out, it epitomizes just overall toughness. I don't know how many of you young bucks in here know who Chuck McNair is. But he was a bad man back in the day in the 50s and 60s for the Philadelphia Eagles. He played center, guard, and middle linebacker. He never came off the field. And he's notorious for pretty much saying that modern-day NFL players, and this was a while ago, but it still resonates, are soft. And you get a hangnail and you're out for 3 weeks. And this guy's a real-life tough guy. So when we started doing our awards for this award show to honor all you guys, we decided to give the Concrete Charlie Award. So Concrete Charlie is Chuck McNair's nickname, and it goes to the best two-way player in the state of Colorado. And this year, you can really say it's a three-way, but Colin Root from Lawson Valley High School, not only is he one of the best defensive ends in the state as a pass rusher, not only is he one of the best tight ends running seam routes to beat you, not only can he kick 59,000-yard field goals to win a playoff game, but he does them all well. This year's Concrete Charlie Award to the best two-way player in the state of Colorado goes to Colin Root. We're all standing back. job, Colin. Congrats, man. And I'll give it back to Mr. Rick Lewis here.
We're going to let Chad present the next category, since Chad was a Pro Bowl linebacker in the National Football League. I think it's only appropriate. And then linebacker of the year as well. Chad?
All right, linebackers are obviously going to be very special to my heart, but not because I play them, because I think they are I'll give quarterbacks a little pub at the same time. The quarterback's the defense. You got to be one of the smartest guys in the field. You have to know what everyone else is doing. You have to be able to communicate and lead your teammates. You got to be able to hit the big guys, run with the fast guys. So it's a position that demands so much of you mentally, physically, and emotionally, and from a leadership perspective as well. So I'm definitely honored to present the awards for the linebackers of the year. I'll let my man Warren take over and describe these guys and what they've done in the field.
Thank you, Chad. This linebacker, who was a talented athlete, great in the classroom as well, stood out week after week after week on film. We were looking at Balor's game tape. Works hard, but the biggest thing is his athleticism and his ability to strike people. Matt loves it, Chad loves it. Do you make tackles or do you strike people? This guy's a striker, Bubba Watkins. This next young man, I don't believe was able to make it tonight from Fountain Fort Carson, but big kid, again, a thumper and a guy that was all over the field all the time and let you know about it. DJ Leotuma from Fountain Fort Carson. This next young man is like a chip off the old block, because his old man played football in the NFL, was a great linebacker, Colorado Mesa, I believe. We saw this young dude make play after play after play, and like his play rose in that playoff stretch run, and then through the state title game, he was all over the field. Santino Marquil, Cherokee. This next guy, as a linebacker at Thomas Jefferson in the 9th grade on the varsity, had 99 tackles. Balled out again this year as a sophomore. His season was cut short to a shoulder injury, but we will watch him play on Saturdays. I love his smile when he comes into the gym. I love his work ethic. And most importantly, I love his ability to fly the football. From Thomas Jefferson High School, Donovan Bach. This next dude, inside linebacker. You know, we talk about Pomona High School football. We talk about Big Jake and Dylan and mashing up front. But there was another side of football that was awfully freaking physical this year. So y'all give it up for inside linebacker from Pomona High School, Elijah Leyva. Now, probably the toughest thing that we had to do this year was come up with our linebacker of the year. Especially as I think Chad will agree with this, we're seeing this, ebb and flow of pass, which is changing the responsibility of linebackers. So now as a linebacker, you can't just be a thumper, you got to be able to rush the passer, and drop in coverage, and keep assignments, and fill A gap and B gap. Do everything. And this young man did everything for a state championship team. 78 tackles, 2 sacks, 16 tackles for loss, 2 interceptions, 4 pass breakups, a forced fumble, a blocked kick, and he's a hell of a long snapper and short snapper. The linebacker of the year for the state of Colorado for our 2014 All-Colorado team from Pine Creek High School, Kason Nowin.
Rocking that bow tie. Straight swag. All right, now we're going to get to the defensive linemen. Defensive linemen, defensive ends, defensive tackles, got some nose tackles sprinkled in there. If a lot of you don't know, I played both ways in the National Football League. I was a defensive lineman all the way through college. My Second year in the NFL is the last guy cut in training camp, and I walked up to Mr. Tannenbaum's office. I was with the Jets, and he said, you know, Matt, you're a hell of a player. We like having you here. It's a numbers thing. And the last thing he said to me was, well, do you want to play nose tackle or do you want a job? And I was like, well, I'll take a job. And he goes, you're a guard. And my heart sank. And I was, you know, my whole life, it just, oh, they're fat, they're slow, they're nasty, you know, they're home, they don't run down the field, they have bad locker room etiquette. I mean, there's nothing good about it. So when they told me I was moving to O-line, I was stunned, man. I was like, damn, I've been trying to do this, you know, athletic D-line thing my whole life. So this next group of guys that we're going to introduce, the defensive linemen here, it's a special group to my heart because, man, relish all those opportunities. Sooner or later, somebody's going to walk up to you and go, look, yeah, so we found somebody more athletic that can run. How do you feel about offense? So you may want to live this up as long as you can. So we'll get straight to the pass rushers, and this guy is really just a real pain in the rear to deal with if you're up north and you have to play him. Just a terror off the edge. He's got fast hands, got a great first step. Multiple offers at the D1 level, and imagine more to come. Give it up for Carlo Kemp, defensive end. Just talked about this last guy, Mr. Versatility. Did a great job for Walson Valley this year. You know, last year when I was watching tape, I thought he was just a tight end. And then this year when I turned on the tape and watched him just abuse pretty much every offensive tackle he lined up against, it convinced me that he's one hell of a defensive end as well. Giving up Ralston Valley High School, Colin Root. Thanks for yelling that in my ear really loud. Good job, Colin. Also, another bow tie. You're going to do that one. Next guy up. Played a 4 technique all year for Valley Christian. And in my opinion, he might be the best pass rusher in the room. But he swallowed his pride, he did what his coaches asked him to do, and he played one hell of a 4 technique all year. And if you guys don't know, it's pretty hard to play 4 technique and rush the passer. He still managed to get upwards of 5 sacks and be a real dominant player at the point of attack throughout the whole season, battling through injury. One of my favorite guys in the state to watch, and if you played against him, you know damn well that you're going to be in for a fight every minute. Number 55 at Valley Christian, Brandon Biggs. Next up, congratulations, Biggs. There you go, bud. Next up, all right, just received an offer from the Air Force Academy. Was really the heart and soul of Chatfield's offensive and defensive lines the last 2 years. Another guy where I just don't know where he fits. He's athletic enough to play defense. He's mean and quick enough to play offense. So, you know, it's a damn good problem to have. Give it up for Matt Gator, defensive tackle. Next up. John Peter. Longmont High School played in the final this year, and I'm from Longmont. I went to Norwood High School up there north, and it's, you know, not all the time that one of the northern schools gets to come down and represent at Mile High. And although they did lose to Pine Creek, they had an incredible year, and this is one of the reasons, this monster mountain of a man that you're going to be introduced here in a second, is one of the reasons that they did make it that far. On the preseason team, he was listed as an O-lineman. He could have easily been the Concrete Charlie. But give it up for the big nose tackler, Tanner Wilkie from Longmont High School. Massive human. Next up, when he is 290, this next individual, when he is 290, okay, he's still a young buck, but when he is that big, you're going to know his name by heart, because he's going to be a guy that's going to be reiterated constantly on TV on every Saturday broadcast you hear. Still young, has a lot of developing to do, but just one of the meanest SOBs at the point of attack in Colorado, and a guy that I really enjoyed working with over the whole season to watch his progression at the nose tackle position and just watching him beat up constant double and triple teams. the heart and soul of that Cherry Creek defense, David Amola, nose tackle. You see the other guy. John Dave. Next gentleman, from Pueblo South, all right, just a guy that, when you turn on the tape, another guy that could play tight end or defensive end at the next level, very, very versatile player. I keep seeing visions of Gerald McCoy with long arms, and you can put some big time weight on him, move the three technique, and watch this guy just dominate at the next level. Give it up, defensive end, Pueblo South.
Isaiah Panunzio.
Before we get to the Defensive Lineman of the Year award, this next guy is our Billy the Kid. There's a couple of young bucks on this team, but really 11 and a half sacks as a sophomore at varsity football at the 5A level is ridiculous. I mean, those are great numbers for a young man who plays his butt off and is really a catalyst for big plays for Cherry Creek, and I expect him to just be, tearing people up the next couple of years. Give it up for John Van D, Stephen Job, John. All right, this next guy just committed to the University of Colorado, and 8 months ago when he walked in here with his pops and sat down in my office, he said to me, Coach, I want to play D1 ball. It's my dream. And I said, okay, Frank, you're going to put your nose to the grindstone. You're going to work harder than you ever have. You're going to get your ass chewed out by me on the daily. You're going to be responsible. And if you do the things that I tell you to do with effort and intensity, brother, you'll get what you want. And I haven't seen a transformation like this in the 4 years I've been doing this job, and the 100+ kids that we've helped out get to the next level. I've never seen anybody embrace it the way he did and really just take off. And he's going to be called on Buffalo next year, which warms my heart, having three guys in this room that are going to be up there as big uglies, and then adding such a great piece like Kenny as a kicker. They're really on the up and up there. But give it up for the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Frank Umu, Heritage High School. Not only is on the team, but the defensive lineman of the year. Good job, Frank. Now bend your knees. Good job, big dog. All right, moving on. Who's doing this group? You doing this group? All right, fantastic. Next group is our defensive backs and safeties. There might be a roper thrown in there somewhere. Warren McCarty is going to talk about this amazing group of young men, another very, very deep group here in the state of Colorado, the corners and safeties.
Thank you, Matt. First up, I'm not sure if he made it here tonight. Oh, he did? Okay. We committed early to Nebraska, and everybody I talked to was like, tell me about Eric Lee, tell me about Eric Lee. What's to say? He can be a lockdown corner, he can strike you at safety, he's smart, he's articulate, he's intelligent, he flies the football. Most importantly, he's one of those guys who makes big plays in big games. Eric Lee, Valor Christian High School. One of his buddies in the defensive backfield there at Valor Christian High School, I admire because it's tough to have a father that was a great NFL player, who's on TV all the time, and try to live up to those expectations, yet every Friday night he was out there making play after play after play. A guy that we really admire, Brian Dawkins Jr. When we talk Columbine football, everybody thinks about the triple option. But when I think about Columbine football, I think about what they do on the defensive side of football, because that is hard to face the triple option in practice every day, but as a defense have to prepare for a spread. And this kid made play after play after play this year from Columbine High School, Emery Taylor. Congrats. Next up, another one of these young guys at Mullen High School that sky's the limit. Like, we're going to be watching them play on Saturdays and Sundays. Really a confident player. It's not often that you see young guys that completely play with swag and confidence, and he made consistent plays all year long. A guy we're really impressed with, James Jones, IV. Okay, this next young man, you're going to hear his name a lot. He's just a junior, never leaves the field, and you're going to hear more about him a little bit later on tonight. But a guy that I was curious to see how he'd be able to play in open space, and 7 interceptions, a whole ton of pass breakups, and some highlight reel hits. Another one of our DBs, JoJo Doman, Pine Creek High This next young man, I believe, if media reports are correct, is going to remain committed to the University of Nebraska. I know, that's a touchy subject here. But this young man, along with JoJo in that secondary for Pine Creek, just made a lot of guys really wish that the game would hurry up and be over, because he punished people and he made huge plays on offense. Great defensive back, Avery Anderson, Pine Creek High School.
Avery's actually sick, so he couldn't make it this evening. So JoJo, come get this.
This next young man is a guy that Matt and I both love, not because of his work ethic here in the gym, but just he's nasty. I'm from Texas. We like nasty on the football field. For Thunder Ridge, Clayton Johnson. Last but not least, this young man stood out to us on film. We're starting to do film study, looking at who are the DBs that consistently make plays. This guy not only made plays, he separated receivers from the ball. Joe's laughing, he knows. 77 tackles, 5 interceptions, 14 pass breakups, 3 forced fumbles, and 3 fumble recoveries. Our 2014 Defensive Back of the Year from Grandview High School, Cameron Knight. Do this or this. Okay. Okay. This next young man this whole award is special. We have an award that we do each year called the Gold 16 Award, and that is in honor of Zach Goldich, who was the young man who played football in Aurora, who's now playing at Colorado State University. He was at the theater that night, suffered multiple gunshot wounds and survived, and was at practice the next day to show his teammates what he was about, to show the community of Aurora what he was about, to show Colorado what he was about, and to show America what we as people are about. Since 2008, I've had 202 families hire me to handle recruiting. Many of the people here in this room are families I've sat down at their dinner table and talked to. But when this young man got in touch with me, I had no idea what I was walking into. Okay, I walk into families and their homes, and we sit down at the dinner table, and I meet some of the coolest people ever from all walks of life. This family has an amazing story. This young man is amazing. Not just because he recovered from a devastating knee injury early in his high school career and became a leader in a locker room that needed leadership, but he's also a miracle. His parents, Paul and Regina, fell in love and were HIV positive and have lived their entire adult lives with HIV. And for those of you who don't know, it is miraculous for parents to have a child when they both have HIV to not be born with it and to live a healthy life. So when I think about the big picture of stuff, what matters, what doesn't, Zach Goldich taught us a lot. And he teaches us every Saturday when we see him out on the football field at Colorado State tearing dudes up. Because he was centimeters away from dying. And this young man is a walking, talking miracle who loves the game of football and the message that it delivers. It's an honor for me to know his parents, and it's an honor for me to know him. And Matt and I both agree it's an honor for us to have him in the gym busting his ass the way he does. From Rangeview High School, our Gold 16 award winner this year is Josh Salazar.
Congratulations, Josh. All right, folks, I know you're tired, I know it's hot in here, I know you want to go home, I get it. We're going to give away two more awards. The first one goes to the Defensive Player of the Year as we try and wrap this defensive side of the ball up. And we just have this gentleman up here, only a junior. There are a lot of great defensive players in the state, there's no doubt about that, but this guy, every time he's turning on the tape, he's always there, he's always hustling, he never takes play off, and that's one thing, as a front seven player, I'm all about effort. And when I see it from a secondary player, and he's up there busting a guard's mouth, and then he's dropping the covers, picking off a ball, or he's doing whatever is called on him to do, that's why JoJo Doman is the Defensive Player of the Year. There you go, Joe. Congratulations, man. All right, now. This is one award that we give out every single year. And the first year it went to Chris Fox, Ponderosa offensive lineman who went to Michigan and was arguably one of the best bigs I've seen in this state since Tony Baselli. And a guy that just beat the hell out of people left and right. Last year was walking touchdown Christian McCaffrey, a guy that just gave him the ball, get out of the way, let him go win for you. This year, this guy is going to be a Wyoming Cowboy, and I don't know how in the hell they let him slip out of state, but huge mistake and one that I'm sure CSU will be chewing on for the next 5 years. Every time he touched the ball offensively, it was a fireworks show, but really just multiple kickoffs where the other team would think they had an advantage, and he would just go back there and take it to the house and crush dreams. And that's what he is. He's an offensive dream crusher. Colorado MVP from Ralston Valley, Andrew Weingart. Now, that kind of wraps it up. I'm going to say some stuff, then I'll let Warren talk for a little bit to close us out. We'll get you out of here, promise, by 8:25, okay? First of all, thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming out and being a part of this, okay? I'm from this community. I played high school football in Iowa. I went to the University of Colorado till 2004, from 2000 to 2004. I was lucky enough to get 6 years in the NFL. The reason I open this business and do what I do is because no one else is doing it. There's no one else in the community that are fighting for kids. It's easy to say, no, you can't play. It's hard to say, yes, you can. It doesn't matter where you play, gentlemen. It matters how you play. What you take from the experience that you had at the college level with your boys, with your best friends, with guys that you're going to bleed together, where football, all right, is different. The state of Colorado is very competitive. There are a lot of good players. All right, but college football is a meat grinder, period. And if you're tough enough to handle this place and this environment and how we get down, just ask any of the guys in here that are in here routinely. If you can survive the dungeon, you can survive any college football program, and that's a fact. The guys that I had talked to you tonight, the head coach of the University of Colorado, Mike MacIntyre, Chad Brown, okay, 15-year NFL veteran linebacker. These messages is not something you're going to hear every single day, so I hope you take something from it. I really hope you do. And next year, when we have our 4th annual event, I hope that it's another group of smiling faces who are here to honor the individuals that are in this room. So if everybody that was on tonight could stand up real quick, please. All the kids who were on, stand the ass up. Now, give them a big round of applause. hand it over to Warren, as he asked me to cap the evening, so I'll let him talk a little bit to cap it. Before I hand it over to him, I'll ask each and every one of you, okay? Being in the state of Colorado puts you in the crosshairs right off the bat. The first thing the coach says is, oh, he's from Colorado, and that is, look, that reason is going to cease and desist. All right? It's on you as players in the state to set good examples for your teams, all right, and be one of the upper 10. I tell everybody all the time, there's 90 guys on your team. There's 10 guys that are at the top that are going to do things right, that aren't going to cheat reps in the weight room, that are going to do things that preach high integrity and that you can follow. Guys that deserve to be followers and leaders. And then there's 10 guys at the bottom of every team that are turds. They're going to do everything possible to drag it down. Those are the period counters. The guys that walk over and go, no, we got 5 more periods. I would kill someone for 5 more periods right now. Literally. That's what it is, okay? So, embrace this journey. Just like Chad Brown said, just like Coach said, embrace it, man, because it's going to be over quick and you don't know how it's going to go. So one day it's going to be over. And ask yourself this when you go home at night, okay? Did you do everything possible to get better because somebody in Texas or Florida or Cali, all right, Louisiana, Ohio, Michigan, where they care a little bit more overall, community and everything, you know, going into it, did you do enough to separate yourself from that individual? And what are you getting out of football? Because it's going to get something out of you. So you better have your mind right and approach it like a business. I don't care if you're in high school. Okay? You promise that? You guys can think and work and bust your ass for your dream. Congratulations on your recognition this evening, and I'll let Warren close it out. I just want to say thank you to Rick Lewis for helping me MC this event the last 3 years now, and it's a blessing to be on a show with him each and every week. Chad Brown, thank you very much for coming out and supporting the Colorado high school athletics the way that you do. It's amazing. To all the media members that came to cover it and all the coaches that are in attendance and all the families, mom and dad, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Continue to kick ass out there. And look, if you want to come check out the dungeon, come check it, man. We'll be ready for you.
So I'll try to keep this short and sweet. Again, I wanted to.
25, come on.
That's why it's short and sweet. You know what that is? That's a false start. 5 yards. Now we got to start. Go back to the huddle. Start all over. I want to encourage you guys, if you're Bronco fans, listen to Rick Fox and Matt on Sundays. It's the only pregame show where we're not going to get dudes like who just enjoy hearing each other talk. You'll actually know more about what's about to happen on Sunday. So that's 103.5 The Fox. Rick and Matt do a phenomenal job. Chad, man, I got to brag on Chad right quick. Did a great job on the USC-UCLA broadcast the other day. We've got a big game coming up, Seattle and Arizona, I think in 2 weeks, both on Westwood One and on television as well. So you guys keep that in mind. You're going to hear him doing a great job as a broadcaster. Last but not least, I want to brag on Big Guy. He sees the world in a whole different viewpoint than I do. I look at things as a quarterback, he looks at things as a big nasty, but the one thing that we share in common is that we know that football is a fight. And you guys got to understand that he is fighting for y'all, okay? And I don't say that with, I'll just understand that that's legit, okay? When he and I are talking to college coaches, he is fighting for Colorado kids. So in turn, that means parents, he's fighting for your sons and their futures. A few other things I want you guys to think about. When you go play college football, whether it's at the D2 level or big-time D1, what you're going to get from college football, besides the life lessons, are doors opened once football is over for you that don't get open for regular, everyday college Joe students. That's the truth. Okay? Boosters, administrators, people who support State U, they see you on that field, and they look at that job resume, and it says 4-year letterman, 3-year starter. They see a guy who's able to deal with adversity, finish something he started, hard worker, team player, all those qualities that we get from football. promise you, it's happening. Guys get opportunities that other people don't. I want to give a big shout out to Phil, Stream It Sports. You guys can check it out on their website. The whole broadcast here tonight will be archived, and he does a wonderful job and is continuing to do big things in the broadcasting business in terms of getting high school games here in Colorado broadcast on the next level. So you guys give a shout out to him. Last but not least, all right, it's an honor having Nat and Chad, guys that played in the league, that played at the highest level of football. But it's not about where you go, it's what you do when you get there. That's what matters. I'm a stats guy. I threw this out on Twitter the other day and people went nuts about it. How many of you guys have the dream of playing in the NFL? Give me a show of hands. Okay, that's a lot. Right now, there are 336 guys that suited up last Sunday in the National Football League. It's 15% of the NFL right now did not play D1 football. Okay? 15% of NFL players didn't go D1. Right now, as of Sunday, suiting up, playing, getting a check, that played at 1AA, D2, NAI, D3 schools. It doesn't matter where you go, it's what you do when you get there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, folks, to the sophomores and juniors in the room. Maybe I'll see you next year, I don't know. Congratulations to 2014 All-Colorado squad. You will be able to find the team in Mile High Sports Magazine January edition. So keep your eyes open, it'll be in there with a bunch of pictures and whatnot. Thank you very much. Have a good evening, get safe, going home. Come up and talk to me if you're interested in SixZero. Thank you very much.